There you got Beto O'Rourke kicking off his presidential campaign, standing on the counter there in Iowa. He was in Iowa a couple of days more there. He's now one of 12 candidates vying for the Democratic nomination for president. So how does he stack up against the other 2020 hopefuls? Here to break it all down is former campaign pollster for Senator Ted Cruz, Chris Wilson. Chris, good to have you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's take a look at Beto O'Rourke versus some of the others. When you square him against Joe Biden, who he's hiring staff, he's going to get in shortly. Who's the advantage go to?
Well, I think you have to look a little bit at the background. Joe Biden still has that Obama shine around him. And even though if O'Rourke's got any advantages here, it's his youth, but I think Biden's able to overcome that through the organization's built. And even though that's not the sort of Democratic establishment that you see on Twitter, it's still who makes the difference. And so because of that, I think in a head-to-head, who has the most staying power, if you will, in a primary contest, Biden wins that because of his Obama connections.
Well, you know what? Maybe this would be called the O'Biden ticket if he decides to be the vice president.
That would be a strong one.
All right. As you square Beto against Elizabeth Warren.
You know, the one thing, they both have a bit of an inauthentic aspect to them. O'Rourke sort of tried to run as to climb a Hispanic mantle, even though he's an Irish American running as a Texas congressman.
Right.
But Elizabeth Warren can't get around her cultural misappropriation.
That was
it's a big scandal, mess. And I think what you're going to see is New Hampshire is going to eliminate her from the race altogether because of that, and O'Rourke's able to come through because of authenticity. That's
all right. Next stop, Kamala Harris, who, we should point out, when she declared she was going to run for president, had the biggest crowd in the history of crowds out in Oakland, California.
Yeah, but in her hometown. That's the big difference. So O'Rourke was smart. He went up to Iowa. He was able to, the buzz around his campaign, I think, is what you just cannot get around. The Vanity Fair piece, all the coverage that we seen yesterday, the fact that we're sitting here this morning talking about it, and Harris kind of dipped down. The other thing is she's a Clinton Democrat. But because of the media buzz, I think who's able to make it out longer? O'Rourke does. He stays in.
Just like that. And then, ultimately, in this cycle, it seems like everybody's trying to out-Bernie. So where do those two?
They are. Well, if O'Rourke has an advantage there, it's on the youthful side. You know, most Democrats don't want an old white male, but the fact is Sanders is able to get as far to O'Rourke's left. O'Rourke was very pro-energy. He was oil and gas congressman when he was in Texas. Sanders is going to beat him up on that. And so you just can't get past who Bernie Sanders is, and he's a socialist, and that's what Democrats are looking for in this cycle.
Okay. One of the things, because Beto is from Texas, I can't tell you how many times I heard yesterday, Texas could be in play. In fact, if you look at the New York Times headline, it says why Texas is nearing battleground status. It's not just about Beto. The Week wrote Texas is now a 2020 swing state, and The Hill says O'Rourke renews Democratic hopes about turning Texas blue. Do you put much stock in that?
I really don't. I think 2018 was a unique election in Texas. It was the highest midterm turnout ever. Right. And in fact, if you look at Governor Abbott, in his race, he was able to get 44% of the Hispanic vote. Senator Cruz still did well despite being outspent 3-1 by O'Rourke. O'Rourke put together a phenomenal campaign organization.
But
I give him credit for that. But he lost, and that's kind of the key point to it. And you can't do that every year. And going into 2020, if O'Rourke was able to put 900 people on the ground in Texas, who knows? Maybe it becomes a little bit more in play. But I think the question is he able to raise the same sort of money running against Bernie Sanders or others that he did against Ted Cruz? And I don't see the New York and Hollywood liberals giving the money to O'Rourke versus Sanders as they did O'Rourke versus Cruz.
An exit question regarding the president getting a brushback by 12 Republicans yesterday in the Senate with the emergency declaration.
I think it helps him. He moves forward. He starts building the wall. It allows him to run in 2020. And I kept my campaign promises. I stood up to those people in my own party who didn't want me to build the wall. And yet, look there, the wall's going up. I think it may put him in a stronger position.
Chris, thank you very much. Good job. Thanks. All right.